As phase 2 of Alpha 2 testing of Ashes of Creation dawns today, we are excited, but we are also left with some drama, some different types of opinions, a little bit of different controversy, you could say. And where did I step into the giant mess that is the Ashes of Creation Discord community chat sometimes? Let's get into it. So, a new dawn of testing is upon us today here in the world of Ashes of Creation. And that has been the highly anticipated next phase of testing, which is phase 2, which expands the list of biomes and nodes, the node capabilities, the different types of PvP. We do get 2 more races. And we are slated to get 1 more archetype in this phase. And you might be saying to yourself, wow, that's a lot of stuff to be excited for. And it is. It really is. I'm very excited. In my last video, I let you guys know that I'm cautiously optimistic with getting into phase 2 testing. However, that again, I think gets a little bit of a spin of controversy, a little spin of drama. And what I'm speaking to is Intrepid's move on consolidating the servers down from 4 in each region down to 1. And then this morning, Steven updated the NA server list to include 2 servers. Now, if you haven't been paying close attention or you haven't been up to speed on, let's say, the last 24 hours, Intrepid closed their spot testing yesterday, and then shortly thereafter or before did put out a message that servers for phase 2 of testing at launch, at least, are going to be consolidated, and they were removing all servers except for 1 for each region. So there was only going to be 1 NA server, 1 EU server, and everybody that was in phase 1 that bought into phase 2, everybody was going to be on 1 big server. Now, there are many different opinions, and you can be on either side of the coin here, I think. And you can also fall in the middle, because I think that's where I'm at with that initial decision. I do understand that they want to stress test their server capacity and their queue. So the big thing behind why 1 server was through the last maybe week or so of testing of phase 1 and the spot testing leading up to today, phase 2, Intrepid was able to deploy a build that doubled their concurrent players on a server. So essentially, their server could handle up to 6,000 people in a very reasonable state. So I think Intrepid really wanted to test that and stress test that with a large group of testers that they haven't had because of fall off or burnout or just loss of interest in the tail end of phase 1 testing. And I totally get that. However, a lot of people got upset with this move because for various reasons, but I think where I would probably fall in line with some of the people who had gripes or some concerns or some, choice words to say to Intrepid were that phase 2 is not about server stability, performance, scalability. That was the whole point of phase 1. And if they wanted to test this, they should have just maybe delayed phase 2 by a weekend, or put out better communication to the testing community that stated, hey, listen, we want to move into phase 2, but we want to do this last minute phase 1 type testing with a larger test group. So please be aware that this is what we're doing. And I think for me, that is where I personally feel there was a disconnect between Intrepid and its community and its testers. Was that the communication came like 20 hours or maybe 21 hours before the scheduled launch of Alpha 2 Phase 2. So everyone 20 hours up until that point is expecting the Phase 2 launch as it was told to us and deliberated on by Intrepid to give us a live stream where they included things that were going to be at launch, shortly after launch, stretch goals, and things that may or may not make it into Phase 2 testing. There was no mention of this, new server build up until 20 hours before the launch of Phase 2. And I think that really threw a lot of people, and I can understand that. But I also understand the other side of the coin where people are saying, well, this is testing and things are bound to happen. Yeah, I think that is true. We've signed up to test a very volatile build of a somewhat playable game, I guess you could say, right? And that's the whole point of testing, is to provide feedback. But I think what that particular side of the coin is missing is that feedback on how communication is coming through is feedback, is data for Intrepid. Now, you might not agree with everyone's opinion on why they were upset at the one server merge from 4 to down to 1 and all of that. But you do have to acknowledge that this is what the community is telling the developer as feedback. The community is telling Intrepid how they feel with how they're moving forward on certain things. And this is where yours truly stepped into the deep end of the poopy pool in the Ashes of Creation Discord. Now, I will say, if you've been following Ashes of Creation and any content creator, regardless of popularity or community size or what you think of them, I think it's a safe assumption that I'm going to make that almost all of them have stated at some point that the Ashes of Creation community Discord sometimes gets a little bit off topic, or they get a little bit personal with attacks or with what people are saying. Some people will call it childish, or toxic, what have you. And I will tend to agree. That is why I normally stay off of the forums. I normally stay off of the Discord. I provide my feedback when necessary on topics that I have feedback for. I do my videos here, and that's how I digest the data that I consume and then regurgitate it back to Intrepid or to you guys, the community that are watching these videos. I normally stay away from the forums and the Discord because I don't want to get into a whose thing is bigger match with someone who is just, a keyboard warrior, or someone that just doesn't understand that there are other opinions other than themselves. And unfortunately, I got caught up in, the discussion during, this announcement and the discussions that were happening in the AOC Discord. I got caught up in discussing with people and giving my opinion on things and talking with other people. And then, of course, you have to have someone latch on to you. And, this person latched on to me. And, we wound up going back and forth for a few times here. And, it wasn't just me that they latched onto. I think they were lashing out on people just in general. I really got a sense that this person just didn't like anyone of a differing opinion on any kind of matter, their way or the highway. And that I get from how they were interacting with the community in their posts. That's what leads me to believe that. So yeah, we got bogged down a little bit. At some point, I was called a narcissist who believes their opinion means more than someone else's because I'm quote unquote a streamer, which I kind of find funny because I'm really a relative nobody when it comes to the scene of streaming. I thought that was absolutely hysterical that that was their view and their opinion of me. So I don't know. I don't want to dwell too much on the Discord drama. I will say again, I stay away from it because sometimes it just defeats the purpose of the conversation because people cannot overlook their own personal opinions on the matter. Did Intrepid do the right thing with consolidating into one server? Yeah, sure, for maybe what they wanted to test, yeah, but they also have to understand that there are lots of other issues at hand when it comes to going down to one server from four. And all those people and all those expectations of those people that went into this testing phase thinking that it was going to be something else, right? So I'm glad. I want to end the video on a positive note, right? I'm glad Steven maybe, looked at the community, did some reflecting, heard the feedback of people saying, hey, resources are already scarce. X, Y, and Z is already scarce. Grinding spots are already scarce. With the 3,000 people, now you're going to have a huge influx of testers. They're going to be, 6,000 concurrent users at least, and, everything's going to be even more scarce now. So I do agree. I'm glad that Steven and the team have added a server for today. So they're going to be 2 NA servers, 1 EU server. I think that is a good mix. You've taken the NA servers and really cut them in half almost. I think there were 4, so it is really in half. So I think that will be good to spread out the population of the other 2 servers on the 2 servers. And EU, I think overall, all of their servers have been lower, and a lot of EU players have been coming to the NA servers. So I really do think that an EU server, 1 EU server, might be the play and the way to go for them in this phase of testing. Like I said, we are day of testing. I'm recording this today and putting it out today for you guys just to go over some of the drama that's been occurring in the last 24 hours. I can't let a good piece of drama go unanswered or untalked about for a little bit. It did cause a stir for a little bit, I think, in the Ashes of Creation community Discord with its player base, whether you were on one side of the aisle or the other. But I think overall, Intrepid is responding better now to what they had initially put out. They put out something, we gave feedback, they iterated on what their plan for today was, and they've given us something where I think it's a good compromise between what they want to accomplish from a testing and back-end perspective and what the player base feels, is right or, is promised or would be appropriate for this type of testing. So I think overall we're working together still. Intrepid and the community are working well. The community is working well. Like I said, there's always going to be those outliers that just leech on to you for no reason and are going to be negative for no reason. And that's the way of life, right? I think all of us can attest to that in our life. But as usual, guys, I appreciate you guys for being here. I'm going to get ready for the launch of Alpha 2 Phase 2. I might be streaming this afternoon. I'm not sure yet. If you do want to check that out, I will be streaming live on Kick. It's Devil's Fury. Links are going to be in the bio. You can check that out. Please, if you wouldn't mind, drop a like, a comment, subscribe to the channel. It's completely free. It helps out the channel, and I appreciate you guys for doing that. It helps us build more content and be able to do some other things, maybe like giveaways and things like that, as we grow the channel. I appreciate each and every one of you, and as always, we'll see ya on the next one.